Babylon. Israel. How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Tzadidal, Daf 94 of Masechet Ksubis, friends. What can I tell you about Daf 94? Well, I'm recording this on Erev Yom Kippur, right before the Sudam of Sekes. That's one thing I could tell you about it. Another thing I could tell you is Chagim are coming up, which means you're going to hear a lot of complaining from me about the noise. What else can I tell you? We're talking about Ksubis stuff, like I guess like a Yavamis Ksubis fusion. Without further ado, Daf Tzadi Gimel Amud Beis, about 10 lines from the bottom at the Mishnah. Mishainosu Daled Noshim. Okay, guy has 4 wives. Umeis, and then he dies. So, in terms of dividing up his estate, so the first one gets priority, then the second wife gets priority, then the third wife, and then the fourth. So now, so we said that the first wife collects first, and then the second wife. So then, the first wife though needs to swear to the second wife that she didn't take anything when the husband was alive, right? Meaning, because all the wives are scrambling to get paid their ksubah. So the first wife needs to swear to the second wife that she didn't smuggle anything else out and that she's not taking more than she's entitled to. And then the second wife swears to the third wife, and the third wife swears to the fourth wife, but the fourth wife doesn't have to swear to anybody. Benanis Omer b'chimipnei achrona niskeres, to which Benanis says what? Just because she is the fourth wife, she sort of benefits in that now she doesn't have to swear to anybody. So afilo tzipar b'shvur. No way. Everyone's treated the same, and she also needs to swear as well that she didn't smuggle anything from the estate before receiving her ksubah. If all 4 of the wives got married on the same day, so then even so, right? Even if they get all married on the same day, but if one of the ksubas says 1 in the afternoon, the other one says 2 in the afternoon, the other one says 3 in the afternoon, the other one says 4 in the afternoon. So that kind of sets the precedence in terms of collecting the ksubah later on. V'chacha yukosvin b'Yushalayim shows, and that was the way that they rolled in Jerusalem, that they would write the hour on the document on the ksubah. Hayukulan yotzos b'shah achas ve'en sham elamono cholkos b'shaveh. Now, if all of the ksubas had the same time, and there was only 100 mana to go around, so they're just gonna, everyone's gonna divide up equally in that case. There is no precedence. Now, what's the machlokas between the Tanakama and Benanis? How come the Tanakama says that the fourth wife doesn't need to swear, and Benanis says that she does? So Amr Shmuel says, Kigon shenimtzeis achas meyen sode she'eno shelo. Just 1 second. This is the first time I'm going to complain about the noise. There's talking coming from upstairs. It's distracting. And so then, what if the third field is a stolen field? So what if the third field is a stolen field? So, if we go back to our number names, I think the number names made it easier for me to figure out who's who. 1 elah, 2 elah, 3 elah, and 4 elah. So if 3 elah's field is a stolen field, so then what's she gonna do? She's gonna come. So says the Gemara, Uvebal chov me'ocher shekodem v'gava kamiflige. Tanakama sovar mashegava lo gava. Uvenanis savar mashegava gava. So the machlokas is, how do we deal with precedence in terms of collecting, and what if we go out of order, right? So if we have these 4 wives, and we say that the first wife gets precedent over the second gets precedent over the third gets precedent over the fourth. I don't know if precedent's the right word. It might be, but there's an order here of who gets to collect what. The question is, what happens if you go out of order? So therefore, how does this play out? It plays out in that if Thriela's field is a stolen field, so then, she loses it. It goes back to the person who was stolen from. But now Thriela sets her sights on Forela and says, well, looks like I didn't receive my inheritance, right? I didn't receive my ksuba. And she says, Forela, hand it over. You're collecting out of order. I get before you do. So therefore, right, so second line of the Gemara in Daf Tzadi Daled, Uvebal chov me'ucher shekodem v'gavo k'miflegei. And the machlokas between Tanakama and Benanis is, how do we deal with a creditor, person who's owed money, in this case the 4 wives, me'ucher, a later creditor, shekodem v'gavo, who collected out of turn, right? Forela is meant to collect after Thriela, but practically speaking, Thriela doesn't have a field and Forela does, which means that Memela, she's out of order. So Tanakama Sovar Mashagava Lo Gavo. So the Tanakama says that you can't go out of turn, and Forela is going to have to relinquish her field to Thriela. Venana Sovar Mashagava Gavo. Whereas Benana says, no. Even if Forela essentially collected out of order, it's hers. It's Forela's. And therefore, according to Tanakama, there's really no reason for Forela to have to swear about anything, because what's she swearing about? Who's losing on her account? Right? Meaning, I understand why one Allah has to swear to 2 Allah, because if one Allah smuggled stuff out of the estate prior, well then 2 Allah is losing out based on that, because if there's not enough to go around, 2 Allah loses. So therefore 1 Allah has to swear to 2 Allah. But who's being disadvantaged by 4 Allah? If 4 Allah collects out of turn, right, she's the last one to collect anyways. And if she collects out of turn, it goes to the other person anyways. So if it turns out that, 3 Allah's field is stolen, 4 Allah's goes to her anyways, who's going to lose on her account, on 4 Allah's account? So therefore, Tanakama says 4 Allah doesn't have to swear. But Benanis says that, look, if you go out of order, you go out of order, but life goes on. And therefore, if it turns out that 3 Allah's field is stolen and she loses it, she cannot turn to 4 Allah and say, give me your field. She can't do that. 4 Allah gets it. And therefore, right, even though 4 Allah technically collected out of order, it's hers. And therefore, according to Benanis, since 4 Allah would be able to hold on to the field, she also has to swear that she didn't smuggle anything out of the state, because in the event that something happens to one of the other fields, she's going to be holding on to her field, and therefore we have to make sure that she didn't smuggle anything else out of the estate, and that she is only receiving what she's receiving for her ksubit and nothing else. Rav Nachman Rabba Bar Avua says, Rav Nachman, the name of Rabba Bar Avua, D'chuli alma mashegava lo gava. So it says Rav Nachman Rabba Bar Avua that no, everybody agrees that you can't collect out of order. And if it turns out that 3 Allah's field is stolen, 4 Allah would have to give it to her. So if that's the case, then why does 4 Allah have to swear about anything? V'hocho b'chayshinan shematachsif komiflige. Marsover chayshinan shematachsif, umarsover lo chayshinan shematachsif. Okay. So the question here is that, look, everyone agrees that if it turns out that 3 Allah's field is stolen, 4 Allah would have to relinquish it to 3 Allah. So then why does 4 Allah have to swear? It's a psychological play. The question is, if 4 Allah knows that at any time it turns out that, 3 Allah's field, or I imagine really any of the fields, were stolen, if 4 Allah knows that at any time she could lose her field. 4 Allah knows that at any time she could lose her field. Right? 3 Allah comes and says, look, my field was stolen. I don't have an inheritance. Give me yours. Right? I don't have a ksuba. Give me what you received. Forla knows that at any time she could lose what she received. Therefore, she's not. How much is she going to invest in something that at any time can get lost? Therefore, she's going to let the field kind of fall apart and deteriorate. But if you make her swear that she didn't take anything else from the state, it kind of gives it an aura, I don't know what the word is, but it gives it sort of like a vibe. Now that's a cool word, a vibe. You have to be very cool to use the word vibe. Gives it a vibe. I'm not that cool. Alright, I'll make an exception to the rule. It gives it a vibe of like officiality. That while I'm swearing, it's mine, and therefore she's gonna... Someone's talking loud upstairs. So, it gives it this vibe of officiality, and therefore, even though yes, technically if 3 comes and says, look, my field was stolen, 4 is gonna have to relinquish it, but she's still gonna treat the field properly with respect, because the swear kind of makes things official, and she's gonna take care of the property. Okay, fine. Right, so again, we're concerned that if she doesn't have to swear and she's aware that she can lose the field at any time, she's going to let the field degrade. Someone's on speakerphone. And the other opinion is that we're not concerned that the field is going to degrade, that she's going to degrade the field without swearing, and therefore she does not need to swear. Okay, so again, the first opinion is that we are concerned that the field would deteriorate, so therefore she swears. Second opinion is that we're not concerned about it, so therefore she does not need to swear. Abaye Omar says Abaye, the Abaye Kshisha Ike Benayu, that the nafkamina between the Tanakame and Benanis is Abaye Kshisha. Okay, someone's talking right by the basement. Okay. Ike Benayu, the Tani Abaye Kshisha taught Yisom She'amru Gidolim. Ooh, someone's talking right next to the basement on the phone. It's always the phone calls that are the hardest. The phone calls and really any talking. Yisom She'amru Gidolim Vein Tzarich Lomer Ketanim. That Abaye says that when we say that the wife, in order to collect her ksubah, needs so according to Abaye Kshisha, it has nothing to do with collecting out of order and one of the fields being stolen. No, it has nothing to do with that. It simply has to do with when we say that, right? We had said the other day on Daf something. We had said the other day on Daf something, on Daf Pezayin, that in order for the wife to be able to collect her ksubah, she has to swear. And the question is does that apply only to when they are ketanim, or does it apply to when they are gedolim as well? Tanakama leisle de Abaye kshisha, venanis isle de Abaye kshisha. That ben nanis, where am I? That the Tanakama doesn't hold of Abaye kshisha, and therefore when they are gedolim, so then they would not need to swear. And there, right, that if the heirs are gedolim, then they would not need to swear. And therefore, since there's no need to swear, so then the fourth, right, Forla, there's really no reason for her to swear. She doesn't have to swear to any of the other wives, so then she doesn't have to swear at all. Uvenanis Islay the Abaye Kshisha, whereas Benanis says that no, even the gedolim, but even if the heirs are gedolim, they have to swear. Even if the heirs are gedolim, so the wives would have to swear, and therefore all of the wives have to swear, even including Forla. Alright, sounds like the phone call's over, so we could resume. Amr Rav Huna, says Rav Huna, Hane tre ache v'tre shutfe de'islu dina bahade chad. Okay, so if you have two brothers or two partners that they have to go to court, right? Okay, so you have a partnership, right? You have a partnership. Reuven and Shimon are in business. They call it the Reuven Shimon Geschäft. That's right. That's the name of the business. I don't know what they do. What do you think that the Reuven Shimon Geschäft does? It's a pizza shop. The Reuven and Shimon Geschäft. The tastiest pizzas in all in all the land. Okay. People come from far and wide to taste the Reuven and Shimon's Geschäft pizzas. Okay. But there was, I guess, one fellow who isn't very happy with the Reuven Shimon Geschäft, and he takes them to court. Okay. So the Islu Dina Ba'adei Chad, some fellow is taking them to court. Ve'ozol Chad Binayu Ba'adei Ledina. So Reuven says, look, I'm going to run the Geschäft. Shimon, why don't you go to court and, see what's going on? Lo motzi idoch lemeimale ad la ba'dvarim didi at. So now, if it turns out that the Reuven Shimon Geschäft loses the court case, and now they have to pay up, Reuven can't say, hey, I'm not giving anything to this guy. I wasn't there. Right? It's Levi, right? So Levi takes him to court. He can't say to Levi, look, I didn't go to court. Do whatever you want with Shimon, but I'm not giving you anything from me. So Ella Shlichusei Avad. But rather, Shimon is representing the Geschäft. Shimon's representing Reuven as well. Fine. And therefore, Reuven also is going to have to pay up. Okay. Ikler of Nachman the Surah. Rav Nachman visited Surah Shailui Ki Gavna. And they asked him, what's the halacha in the case of the Reuven Shimon Geschäft that they go to court with Levi? Mai. Okay. So he says to them, Mas Nisni. Well, it's our Mishnah, no? Harishona Nishba'a Lishniya, that one Allah swears to two Allah that she didn't smuggle anything out of the estate. Vishniya Lishlishis, and two Allah swears to three Allah. Vishlishis Lervius, and three Allah swears to four Allah. Ve'ilu Rishon Lishlishis Lokutana. It doesn't say that one Allah needs to also swear to three Allah. Why not? My time, how come? Lab Mishum Dishlichusa Avda? Is it not because that, tuala in enforcing in making one Allah swear to her is also representing three Allah, right? And therefore, one Allah doesn't also need to swear to three Allah. Once one Allah swears to two Allah, that also works for three Allah. It's all the same shlichus. To which we say, yeah, but that is not really comparable, right? The case of the Reuven Shimon Geschäft and one Allah, two Allah, three Allah, and four Allah, those are not similar, because Hasam Shvua le'echad u'shvua le'meya, when it comes to one Allah, two Allah, three Allah, and four Allah, that when one Allah swears to two Allah, it's the same swear that she swore to two Allah is the same swear to three Allah and four Allah. What she's saying, she didn't smuggle anything out of the estate. That doesn't change whether it's to two Allah or to three Allah or to four Allah. Once she swears once, so it's this, it counts for all scenarios. Whereas over here we will say, Reuven could make the argument that he says, look, I understand that the court ruled against the Reuven Shimon Geschäft, but he'll say, but if I was there, I would have made smarter arguments, and therefore he's going to say to Levi, don't leave me alone. I wasn't there. If I was there, you would have lost. You would have gone down, brother. So now the Gemara seems to say, okay, it seems like Reuven would be able to make that claim that if he was there, he could have made better arguments. But that only is Shaykh Eladlo Isei B'mata if he was out of town. So if Reuven was out of town, right, and then he comes back and it turns out that the Reuven Shimon Geschäft owes money to Levi, and he says, wait, but I was out of town. That's not fair. Aval Isei B'mata Yiboy Lemesi. But if Reuven, the fact that Reuven needed to run the pizza shop while Shimon was in court, that's not a good enough excuse. If he was out of town, that's one thing. But if he was around, so he should have showed up in court and made that a priority. And if he didn't, and they ended up losing, he can't make the claim that, if I was there, things would have been different. If you were there, you should have come. Itmar was stated, Beishtoris Hayotzim Biyom Echor. Oh, this sounds like exciting stuff. Reuven sells his field to Shimon and to Levi. The same field he sells to two people. Oy vavoy. It's like, what was that called on the airplanes when they were bumping people, when they would overbook the airplane, so they sell the same seat to two people? Alright. Okay. So Reuven, okay. You can always sit in somebody's lap, I guess. Or maybe they make double-decker seats. Oof. Would you want to be on the top or on the bottom of that? Probably the top, but okay, let me tell you. Fine. So Reuven sells the same field to Shimon and to Levi, and there's two documents. Shimon's got a document, Levi's got a document. Rav Omar Cholkin. So Rav says, all right, well, you divide the field in half. Shmuel Omar, where Shmuel says, Shuda the dining. You go to Bezdin and you figure out, which one, who do you think received the document first? Okay, fine. Very good. Okay, fine. So now, okay. So says the Gemara, Lema Rav Amar Krib Meir, De Omar Ede Chasima Karte. So let's say that Rav holds like Reb Meir, who says Ede Chasima Karte. Ushmuel Amar Krib Elazar, Amar Ede Mesira Karte. Now Shmuel holds like Reb Elazar, who says Ede Mesira Karte. Friends, who can tell me what this means? Who can tell me what Ede Chasima Karte and Ede Mesira Karte is? This has to do with Gittin. I learned Mishnayos Gittin in 9th grade with Rabbi Pollack, Rabbi Avi Pollack at the Torah Academy of Bergen County. That was the first time I remember encountering Ede Mesira and Ede Chasima. So Ede Chasima, if you think about a get, if you think about a bill of divorce, so there are witnesses who sign on it, and then there are, then it's later delivered to the wife, and there are witnesses of the delivery. So the question is, which ones are more important? Which ones are more significant? Right? The witnesses of the signing or the witnesses of the delivery? So let's say that Rav, who says that they divide the field in half, goes based on Ede Chasima, that it depends on the signing of the document. Now, the document didn't have an hour of the day. It was the same day. There was no hour of the day. So therefore, we don't know which one gets precedent. So what do? We split it in half. Whereas Shmuel, who says that we give it to the Bezdin to try to figure out who do you think received the document first, well, he'll hold like Rabbi Elazar that Ede Mesira Karte, that it's not about when the signing of the document, it's about the delivering of the document, and therefore Bezdin can try to figure out who do we think Reuven would have given the document to first. Who is he closer with? Who would he prefer to give that document to first? So again, so where am I? So Lema, let's say Rav da Amar Krib Meir, that Rav, who says that you split the field in half, says like Reb Meir da Amar Ede Chasima Karte, who say that that what's important is the witnesses who are signing the document, and therefore, well, the signing of the document, it doesn't say what time of the day it was, so we really have no way of knowing which document gets precedence, and therefore we divide the field in half. Where Shmuel holds like Rabbi Elazar, who says that it's the witnesses of the deliverance, of the delivery, and therefore the question is which one was delivered first, and we don't know, but we can leave it up to Bezdin to try to figure out based on who we can assume Reuven would be more likely to have given the choice. Lo d'chuliyamak Rabbi Elazar. No. Rav also holds like Rabbi Elazar that Ede Mesira Karte v'acha miflage. The machlokas is simply Rav Savar Chaluka Adifa, Shmuel Savar Shuda D'Daini Adifa. The Rav says that dividing it in half is better. Shmuel says that leaving it up to Bezdin to try to figure out who has precedence. Shmuel says that would be better. Mimotzes mukamas le Rav Rabbi Elazar. But can you really say that Rav holds like Rabbi Elazar that Ede Mesira Karte? Omar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, that says Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav, that halachic Rabbi Elazar begin, that Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, that the halacha is like Rabbi Elazar specifically when it comes to bills of divorce. Ki amrisa kamei de Shmuel, and when Rav Yehuda said this before Shmuel, Omar af bishtaris, that this even applies to regular documents, that we would go based on the deliverance of it. So even in the case of Reuven selling his field to Shimon and Levi. Michlal de Rav Savar, but from the fact that Shmuel extends it to Shtaris, implies that Rav Savar b'Shtaris lo, that Rav didn't extend it to Shtaris. And therefore, in our case of Reuven selling his field to Shimon and Levi, Rav would not say that we go based on Rabbi Elazar that Edi Mesira Karte. So Ela Machvarte Rav Reb Meir Ushmo Rabbi Elazar. So rather, it makes more sense to say that Rav holds like Reb Meir and Shmuel holds like Rabbi Elazar in this case when it comes to Ruvain selling his field to Shimon and to Levi. Meisvei, we have a kasha. Shnei shtarus hayotzim biyom echad, that if we have two documents on the same day, okay, cholkin, we divide them. So we're saying that we divide them, not that we do shuda dedaine, that we leave it up to Bezin to figure it out. Tiyufta de Shmuel. So this is a kasha on Shmuel who says shuda dedaine. Omlach Shmuel amani Reb Meiri, v'anadami Reb Elazar. To which we say that no, that brisa, that's a Reb Meir brisa who says Eidei Chasima Karte, but I hold like Reb Elazar that Eidei Mesira Karte. Alright, people are talking again. Reb Meir, but one second. If this brisa is really Reb Meir Ema Seifa, what does it say at the end of the brisa? Kosav le'echod u'moser le'acher, that in a situation where he first wrote the document, right? Reuven first wrote the document for Shimon, and then he wrote but then he wrote a document and gave it first to Levi, right? So so Shimon's document was written first, and then Levi's document was written, but he first gave it to Levi before giving it to Shimon. Zeshem moser lo kana. So the one who he gave it to first gets it. The Reb Meir, and if it's Reb Meir, amai kana, why would Levi get it? Ha'am Eidei Chasima Karte. He says that it's the Eidei Chasima that's important, i.e., whichever document was written first, that's one that gets precedent, in which case Shimon should get it, not Levi. So from the fact that we're saying that Levi can get it clearly means that it's Reb Elazar who say Eidei Mesira Karte, and still we're saying that, right, that we divide it, right? It says Cholkin, we divide it in half. We don't say Shuda Dedaine. So we say Tanoi, it's a machlokas Tanoim about, do we say Shuda Dedaine or do we say Cholkin? Titania, as we learn in the Brisa, V'chachom omim yachloku b'chan amu mashiyirtze asholish yaise. So this is talking about a situation where Reuven sent a messenger to give money to Shimon, and then it turns out that, everybody's dead. Right? It turns out that everybody's dead. Right? So Rashi says, right, Holich mane leploni v'alach uvikshu v'lo matzu shemes yachzu l'meshaleach what? Meis ha-meshaleach yachzu l'yarshim. So basically, what happens is, Reuven is supposed to send money to Shimon, but he gets there and Shimon's dead. Then he gets back and Reuven's dead, everyone's dead. And then, so the question is, what do you do with the money? So, one opinion is that you divide it in half, okay? The other opinion is, Mashiyirtz Asholash Yaisa, right? That they basically do Shuda Dedaine. They figure out who it makes more sense to give it to. So we see that what to do in this kind of a situation is a machlokas, and therefore Shmuel says Shuda Dedaine, but there's also another opinion that says that it's divided in half. All right, what do you want me to tell you? Ime Rami Bar Chama, Ksavtinu l'nechaso l'Rami Bar Chama l'bitzafra. So Rami Bar Chama's mother wrote all of her stuff to Rami Bar Chama in the morning, but at night, Ksavtinu l'Mar Ukva Bar Chama, she wrote them later to her brother Mar Ukva Bar Chama, to his brother Mar Ukva Bar Chama. So first she wrote it to Rami Bar Chama, then she wrote it to Mar Ukva Bar Chama. Also Rami Bar Chama l'Kamadu of Sheshes. So Rami Bar Chama comes before of Sheshes. Ukmei bin Chason of Sheshes says, well, she wrote it to you first, therefore it's yours. Also Mar Ukva l'Kamadu of Nachman. Mar Ukva came before of Nachman. Ukmei bin Chason, and Rav Nachman says it goes to you, Mar Ukva. Rav Sheshes the comment of Nachman. So Rav Sheshes comes before Rav Nachman. Omalei, my time of it, my ochi. How come you did this? If I said that it belongs to Rami Bar Chama, how come you said that it belongs to Mar Ukva Bar Chama? Omalei, my time of it, my ochi. So Rav Nachman says to Rav Sheshes, how come you gave it to Rami Bar Chama? Omalei dekodim. So Rav Sheshes says, well, Rami Bar Chama was given it. Well, he came first. Right? She wrote it to him first. To which Rav Nachman says, what? Do we live in Jerusalem where we write down the hours of the get on the document that it makes it objectively Rami Bar Chomas? Elamar my time of Avidachi. So Rav Sheshes says to Rav Nachman, so why did you give it to my Ukva Bar Choma? So Amalei Shuda the Daini. Rav Nachman says, well, because it's up to the Bezdin to decide, and I decided. It made sense to me that the mother would prefer Ukva Bar Choma. Amalei Onanam Shuda the Daini. So if Sheshes says to Rav Nachman, but I'm also an authority, shouldn't I also have Shuda the Daini? So Amalei Chada the Ono Dayona Umar Lav Dayona. So Rav Nachman says to Rav Sheshes, well, first of all, I've been appointed, as Rashi says, I've been appointed by the Reish Galusa, who I believe was his father-in-law. So I was appointed to be a judge, you weren't. So therefore, it makes sense that I would have Shuda the Daine and you wouldn't. And also, based on your own admittance, your rationale was because Rami Bar Chama came first, which means that you're not doing Shuda the Daine. It's not based on your insight. It is you were doing it because you thought that since it was written to Rami Bar Chama first, therefore he gets it, but that's not actually the case. So therefore, that was why Rav Nachman disagreed with Rav Sheshes, because he's a judge of Sheshes, isn't it? Because Rav Nachman was actually doing Shuda the Daini and Rav Sheshes wasn't. Hanu Trei Shtari also the Kaimat of Yosef. So this is kind of an interesting situation. There were these two documents that came before Rav Yosef. Chad Avakosov Bechamsho Benison, Bechad Avakosov Benison. Stoma. Interesting. So there were two documents that came before Rav Yosef. One of them said, he gave a date, the 5th of Nisan. The other one simply said Nisan. Ukme Rav Yosef lau dechamsha b'Nisan b'nechosim, and Rav Yosef says that the property belongs to the fellow whose document says the 5th of Nisan. Omle idoch ve'ona afsid. So then, so then the one whose document said Nisan stam, he says, what? Now I lose out? Omle at yodcha ala tachton. So Rav Yosef says to him, look, what do you want me to tell you? You have the lower hand over here. I mean, because it's Ema, Bar Chovtes Benisan. Because, because there's no date on your document, I don't know if it's the 1st of Nisan, I don't know if it's the 29th of Nisan. And therefore, for all I know, it's referring to the 29th of Nisan, which means that the other guy has an earlier claim of the 5th of Nisan. So Amle v'nichtov limar tirfa me'ir ve'elach. So he says, so the fellow with this document that simply says Nisan, so he says to Rav Yosef, can you at least write me a document that I can go use it to collect from Lekuches, from Nechosim Shubadim, that I can collect from them and say, hey, you guys weren't able to purchase this property because I have this document that says that I purchased another field and there was a lien on the field that you purchased and therefore I can get it. And this guy says to Rav Yosef, can you write that, I can collect already from the 1st of Iyar? And why does he want it to say the 1st of Iyar? So let's go weiter. So Amalei Yachle Meimalach at Bar Chad Benisan at. And he says, no, I can't do that because they can interpret the document by saying that your document is the 1st of Nisan, right? Meaning, his document says Nisan, simply says Nisan, right? So therefore, if he were to come to Lekuches, the people who purchased the field, and said to them, hey, you guys weren't allowed to take this field because I have a document that says that I was sold another field and it didn't work out and now I lost that field, so you have to give me your field. They're going to say, wait, why did you lose out on the other field? It says in your document Nisan. For all we know, it's the 1st of Nisan, which means that you are actually prior to the other guy who says 5th of Nisan. Go to him and say, give me your field because you're the 5th of Nisan, I'm Nisan, which may as well be the 1st of Nisan. So he's basically stuck because with regard to the actual field that he thought he was buying, he loses out because the other document says the 5th of Nisan, and for all we know, Nisan Stam is the 29th of Nisan. But then when he goes to the Lekuches to try to take their field away from them, they say, what's the deal? What's the problem? Why don't you just take the other field? Maybe Nisan is the 1st of Nisan, which means that your document is earlier than the guy with the 5th of Nisan. So, my Takanti, so what does this guy do? Well, what this guy with the sort of defective document can do is he can go to the other guy whose document says 5th of Nisan. He can say, look, do me a favor. Can you give me a document and send me as your messenger to collect, the field? Meaning, what it'll do is that this guy with the defective document will go to the Lekuches and say, look, I'm here to collect the field. And they're going to say, well, why are you collecting it from us? Collect it from the other guy, right? Because your document is earlier. So then he says, okay, well, if that's the case, fine. I have the other field, but now I'm coming as a messenger of the other guy and saying, I want to collect the field from you, the Lekuches, because I lost my field. Because, the document says the first of Nisan, right? So meaning, if this guy with the defective document is going to go to the Lekuches and try to take their field away from there, they're going to say, well, why are you coming to us? Your document, for all we care, for all we know, is the first of Nisan. So he says, well, if that's the case, then I'm able to collect the other field, in which case those guys are losing out, and I'm representing them to claim their field from you. So either way, he'll be able to walk away with that field, whether it's as his or whether it's as the messenger of the other people. Alright, friends, that was Daf Tzadidal of Masechet Ksubis L'Maisa. I have to go because Yom Kippur is starting soon. Have fun, everyone. Peace out.